I managed the surgical budget for one of Boston's largest trauma centers for 25 years. I've seen every invoice, every CPT code, and every desperate plea for funding. I know that titanium implants are expensive, but I also know the procurement process. And I know that the United Nations doesn't ask doctors to buy surgical screws with iTunes gift cards. So when Dr. Luka Kovac, a trauma surgeon stationed in a UN field hospital in Syria, told me he had a dying boy on his table who needed an emergency external fixator, my heart went out to him, but my brain went to the paperwork. He asked for $15,500 to pay a private vendor for the device. He sent me the x-ray to prove the injury. He sent me the invoice. He thought he was pulling on my heartstrings. He didn't know he was handing evidence to an auditor. I looked at the x-ray. The name tag was cropped out, but the date stamp wasn't. It said 2018. And the vendor he wanted me to pay, it wasn't a medical supply company. It was a personal checking account in Ohio. He wanted to operate on my bank account. I decided to perform a little surgery of my own. Thank you for being here. I truly believe this story will help you or help you save someone else by recognizing the signs of a scammer. These are things we all need to know. So this is the perfect moment. Hit the like button and subscribe. You guarantee you won't miss any of the upcoming stories without having to search for them. Now, back to it. Retirement feels like a long shift that never ends. After my husband, Mark, died of a sudden aneurysm, the silence in my house was louder than the sirens I was used to at work. I missed the chaos of the hospital. I missed being needed. My niece signed me up for Silver Singles. "Aunt Karen," she said, "you're too young to just watch medical dramas on TV. Go find a real doctor." Be careful what you wish for. I matched with Luka. Profile. Name, Doctor. Luka Kovac. Age, 56. Occupation, Orthopedic Trauma Surgeon, UN Mission. Location, Damascus, Syria, deployed. Chicago, home. Status, widowed. His photos showed a man with kind, tired eyes, wearing blue scrubs, a stethoscope around his neck, standing in a dusty tent. He looked like a hero. He looked like the kind of man who saved lives while the world burned. We started messaging on WhatsApp. "Karen," he wrote, "you worked in administration? Thank God, you understand the nightmare. I can stitch a femoral artery in the dark, but I cannot navigate the paperwork to get aspirin." It was a brilliant approach. He appealed to my professional pride. He made me feel like an insider. We swapped stories. I told him about the time the generator failed during a blizzard. He told me about operating during a mortar attack. "It is hard, Karen," he said, his voice deep and accented on the audio notes. "But when I save a child, it is worth it. I just wish I had someone to share the quiet moments with." For a month, he was perfect. He sent me photos of his morning coffee, instant coffee in a tin mug. He sent me poetry. But looking back, there were signs. He called the operating room the theater, which is British, but he claimed to be American-trained. He referred to medications by their brand names, not their generic names, which most doctors don't do in casual conversation. But I ignored it. I was lonely, and he was saving lives. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. "Karen, I need you to listen." Luka sounded breathless. "A convoy was hit. We have casualties. Mass casualty event." "Oh my God, Luka," I said, gripping my phone. "Are you safe?" "I am fine, but I have a patient, a boy, 10 years old. His name is Amir. His leg, it is crushed. Comminuted fracture of the femur and tibia. I can save the leg, Karen. I can save him, but I don't have the hardware." "What do you mean?" "The UN supply chain is broken. The rebels stole our shipment."
"I need an external fixator kit and a titanium intramedullary rod, size 8mm. If I don't get it in 24 hours, gangrene will set in. I will have to amputate." The image was horrific. A 10-year-old boy losing his leg. "Can't you get it locally?" I asked. There is a black market supplier in Turkey who can fly it in by drone drop, but he demands cash or a wire transfer. He won't take UN vouchers. He is a mercenary. How much? $15,500, including the rush delivery fee. Luca, I said, that's a lot of money. Doesn't the Red Cross have emergency funds? Bureaucracy, he spat. By the time they approve the funds, Amir will be an amputee or dead from sepsis. Karen, I have $3,000 in my account. I am tapped out. You are the only person I trust. Can you help me? I will pay you back for my hazardous duty bonus next month. He wasn't just asking for money. He was asking me to be a savior, to be part of the medical team. I need to see the patient, I said. It was a reflex. I need to see the chart. I cannot send patient photos. HIPAA, he argued. HIPAA doesn't apply in Syria, Luca, I said calmly. And I'm a hospital administrator. Send me the X-ray. I need to know what we are buying. He hesitated. Then a photo appeared on my screen. It was an X-ray of a shattered leg. It looked devastating. Here, he wrote, look at the damage. Can you let this boy lose his leg? I looked at the image on my iPad. I pinched to zoom. I wasn't looking at the bone. I was looking at the corners. The X-ray showed a severe fracture, but something was wrong. In the top right corner, there was a series of white numbers burned into the film. Digital metadata. Most people ignore it. I used to audit it. Date 14/02/2018. Patient ID M4492. Institution St. Mary's Hospital, London. The date was 5 years ago, and the location was London, not Syria. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. He hadn't taken this photo. He had stolen it. I opened my browser. I described the image in Google. X-ray comminuted femur fracture child. I scrolled through the images. There it was. It was from a medical case study published in the British Medical Journal in 2018. Title, Pediatric Trauma in Urban Cycling Accidents. The boy wasn't a war victim named Amir. He was a cyclist in London named Tom, and he had been healed for years. Luca was using a healed child's pain to rob me. I sat there, staring at the lie. He wanted $15,500. He thought I was a soft touch. He didn't know that I had the phone numbers of the fraud departments of every major bank in the U.S. on my Rolodex. I formulated a plan. If I confronted him now, he would block me. I needed to get the banking details. I needed to find the vendor, and I needed to make him work for it. Did you catch the date stamp? Scammers often crop photos, but they miss the small details. Karen used her professional eye to spot a 5-year-old date on a current emergency. Always zoom in. The truth is in the pixels. If you love seeing a pro at work, hit the like button. I picked up my phone. Luca, I typed, feigning panic. Oh my God, that looks terrible. Poor Amir. I can't let him lose his leg. Thank you, Karen. You are an angel. I'm going to the bank, I lied, but I need the invoice. I need the itemized bill from the supplier so I can code it correctly for the wire transfer. My bank is very strict. I was forcing him to create a fake medical invoice. He sent it 20 minutes later, and when I saw the name of the supplier, I knew exactly who I was dealing with. The email arrived with a ding. Subject, invoice, urgent surgical supplies. Attachment, medical bill, final, PDF. I opened it on my large monitor. I zoomed in to 200%. To the untrained eye, it looked legitimate. There was a Blue Cross logo. There was a paid stamp. There was a list of medical equipment. But to a woman who spent 25 years fighting with insurance companies over billing codes, it was a joke. I scanned the line items. Item 1, titanium intramedullary rod, femur, $8,500. Code CPT 99213. I laughed out loud. CPT 99213 is the billing code for a standard 15-minute outpatient office visit. It reimburses for about $75. He was trying to charge $8,500 for a code used for a sore throat checkup. Item 2, external fixator kit, $5,000.
code ICD-10J00. J00 is the diagnosis code for the common cold. He had just Googled medical codes and picked random numbers. He didn't know the difference between a CPT, procedure, code and an ICD, diagnosis code. It was gibberish. Then I looked at the bottom. The vendor. Payable to Janet W. Medical Logistics. Bank, PNC Bank. Location, Toledo, Ohio. Account type, personal checking. There is no major medical supplier in the world that uses a personal checking account in Toledo to process international trauma equipment orders. Luca wasn't a doctor. He wasn't even a good researcher. He was a lazy criminal using a script. I picked up my phone. I wasn't going to wire money to Janet W. I was going to audit her. Did you see the code mismatch? 99213 for surgery? That's the smoking gun. Scammers try to blind you with jargon, hoping you won't check. But Karen speaks the language. Always Google the codes on an invoice. If a service fee code turns out to be for pizza delivery, you know you're being scammed. If you love seeing Karen's expertise shine, hit the like button. I ran a background check on the name and address in Toledo. Janet W., age 64, retired librarian. She lived in a modest ranch house. No business filings, no medical license. This was the mule. She was likely another victim, thinking she was helping her boyfriend by receiving funds. I decided to call her. But I wouldn't call as Karen the girlfriend. I would call as Karen the hospital administrator. I dialed the number listed in the public directory. Hello? A soft, shaky voice answered. Good morning, I said, projecting my most authoritative boardroom voice. Is this Miss Janet W.? Yes. This is Karen, last name, Senior Director of Accounts Payable for the Northeast Trauma Network. I am calling regarding a flagged invoice we received for a titanium rod payable to your personal account. Oh, Janet sounded flustered. Yes, the rod for Dr. Richard. Is the money coming? I paused. Dr. Richard. My scammer was Dr. Luca. Her scammer was Dr. Richard. Miss Janet, I said, my voice cooling. Who is Dr. Richard? He's my fiancé, she said proudly. He's a neurosurgeon in Afghanistan. He told me to receive the payment for the medical equipment because his military account is frozen. Is there a problem? There is a significant problem, Janet, I said. The invoice I have is from a Dr. Luca in Syria, and the CPT codes are fraudulent. This looks like money laundering.
What? No, Janet gasped. Richard said it was for a children's hospital. He said his friend Luca needed help too. They were cross-pollinating. The scammers were using the same mule for multiple victims, weaving their stories together to cover the gaps. Janet, listen to me, I said. I spent 20 years auditing medical fraud. There is no Dr. Richard. There is no Dr. Luca. You are being used as a money mule. If I report this invoice to the PNC fraud department, which I am legally required to do, they will freeze your assets and open a federal investigation. But he loves me, she whispered. He sent me a ring. Let me guess, I said. He mailed it from a warehouse in New York, and it turned your finger green? Silence. Then the sound of weeping. I sent him $20,000 of my pension, Janet sobbed. He said he needed it to fly home. My heart broke for her. She was $20,000 deep. I was $0 deep. Janet, I said gently, I can help you, but you have to stop accepting wires. Right now. If you accept my $15,500, you become an accessory to a crime. What do I do? You tell him the invoice was rejected, I instructed. Tell him the billing department flagged the codes. Make him work for it. And send me the screenshots of your chat with Dr. Richard. I'm building a file. I hung up with Janet. She was terrified,
But she was on board. She promised to send me the logs. I turned back to Luca. He was messaging me frantically. "Karen, did you send the wire? Amir is in septic shock. We need the rod." I decided to play with him. I wanted to see how much medical knowledge he really had. "Luca," I typed. "I tried to process the wire, but my bank's healthcare compliance algorithm rejected the invoice." "Why? It is a standard invoice." "The codes are wrong, Luca," I scolded him. "You listed CPT 99213 for a surgical implant. That's an evaluation and management code. And you used an ICD-10 code for the common cold."
The bank thinks we are buying Kleenex, not titanium. "It was a mistake," he typed quickly. "My assistant, he is an idiot. He typed the wrong numbers." "Well, you need to fix it," I said. "I can't authorize a $15,500 payment with bad coding. It's a felony. You need to send me a corrected invoice with the proper HCPCS Level 2 codes for durable medical equipment." I threw a complex acronym at him. HCPCS, Healthcare Common Procedure Coding System. If he was a doctor, he would know it. If he was a scammer, he would have to Google it. And HCPCS codes are complicated. "Okay," he said, "I will fix it. Give me 1 hour." "And Luca," I added, "since this is a high-value purchase, I need to verify your medical license. Send me a photo of your NPI number, National Provider Identifier Card, or your UN medical credential." "I left my wallet in the barracks. It is under fire." "Then send me a selfie," I said, "a specific one. Go into the operating theater, put on your mask, and hold up a piece of paper with today's date and the word auditor. I need to know you are actually in the hospital." "I cannot. Sterile field." "You're a trauma surgeon, Luca. You break sterility to scratch your nose. Take the photo, or Amir loses his leg." I was using his own hostage against him. He went offline for 40 minutes. He was scrambling. He was probably trying to Photoshop a mask onto a stolen photo. When he finally replied, he didn't send a photo. He sent a video. It was a dark, shaky video of a man in scrubs, mask on, standing over a patient covered in blue drapes. The man looked at the camera and said, "Here, Karen, I am working. Send the money." It looked real, terrifyingly real. But then I saw the monitor in the background. The EKG line, it wasn't beeping. It was a sticker. And the patient under the drape, he sneezed. I replayed the video file, lucasurgeryproof.mp4. At 08, the unconscious patient under the blue drape jerked. A distinct, muffled chew. Sound came through the audio. Anesthesia suppresses the sneeze reflex. A patient under general anesthesia for a femur repair does not sneeze. They are intubated. They are paralyzed. Then I looked at the cardiac monitor in the background. It showed a perfect rhythmic sinus rhythm, 80 BPM. But the line never changed, not even a pixel. It was a static image, a sticker or a printed paper taped to a black box to look like a screen. And the IV pole? It was a coat rack. I could see the hook at the top. Luca wasn't in a hospital. He was in a bedroom, probably with a roommate lying under a bedsheet. It was theater. Bad theater. I felt a surge of disgust. He was mocking the sanctity of medicine. I decided to trap him. I needed his location. The email header from the invoice showed a generic Gmail server, which strips IP addresses. I needed him to click something. I opened my document editor. I created a file, wire transfer confirmation receipt.pdf, but it wasn't a receipt. It was a blank page with a canary token embedded in it, a digital tripwire that logs the IP address of anyone who opens it. I went back to the chat. "Luca," I typed, "I saw the video. Wow, you are a hero. I'm sorry I doubted you." "It is okay," he replied instantly. "Just send the money. Amir is waking up." "I sent it," I lied. "I wired $15,500 to Janet W. in Ohio. Here is the confirmation receipt from my bank.
Please open it and confirm the details so Janet can release the funds. I attached the trap file. Thank you, my love. He was so eager. He didn't check the file size. He didn't check the extension. He just clicked. This is the greed click. Scammers are trained to look for money. When you send them a file named receipt, their brain shuts down caution and clicks. Taryn used his own hunger to feed him a tracking device. Never underestimate the power of a fake receipt. If you're ready to see where he really is, hit the like button. I watched my Canary token dashboard. A minute later, the alert flashed. Token triggered. IP address 105.112.xx.xx. Location Aba, Abia State, Nigeria. ISP Airtel, Nigeria. Device iPhone 12 Pro Max. Aba, it wasn't Syria, it wasn't Chicago. It was a city in southern Nigeria known for commerce and Yahoo boys. I took a screenshot. Exhibit C. Then I looked at the device info. iPhone 12 Pro Max, $1,100 phone. He claimed to be a starving doctor with no resources, yet he was using a high-end smartphone. I had him, but I wasn't done. I wanted to know who he really was. I copied the IP address and ran it through a breach database search, a tool I had access to from my hospital security days. That IP address had been flagged before. It was associated with a Facebook account, Prince K CEO. I found the Facebook profile. It was a young man, maybe 25. He was posing on the hood of a white Mercedes-Benz. He was wearing gold chains. The caption read, "Hustle pays, God is good." This was Dr.
Luca. He wasn't saving children. He was buying Benzes with money stolen from grandmothers. I felt a cold, hard anger. He had used the image of a dead child from the medical journal to fund his lifestyle. I went back to the chat. "Luca," I typed, "I have a question about the receipt." "What? It looks good. Janet has not received it yet." "Look at the bottom of the page," I said. "There is a code, ABA 105112. Do you know what that means?" "No. Bank code?" "It stands for Aba, Nigeria, your location, and the numbers are your IP address." The typing bubble stopped. "I know you aren't in Syria, Prince K," I continued. "I know you are in Abia State, and I know you are driving a white Mercedes that you bought with Janet's pension." He exploded. "You are crazy," he messaged. "I am a doctor. I will sue you for defamation." "Sue me," I typed. "But before you do, you might want to call Janet, because I just sent her your real name and your Facebook photos."
She's at the police station in Toledo right now, filing a report for fraud. It was a bluff. Janet wasn't at the station yet, but she would be. "You ruined everything!" he screamed via voice note. His accent was thick, angry, and distinctly Nigerian. "I will curse you. I will put a hex on your house." "Save your voodoo," I said. "I'm an administrator. I deal with lawyers, not curses. And by the way, I forwarded your IP address to the EFCC, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Lagos. They are very interested in Prince K and his white Mercedes." He blocked me. His profile photo turned gray. The chat went silent. I sat back. I had cut him out like a tumor. But the surgery wasn't over. There was still a patient on the table. Janet. I called Janet in Ohio. "Janet," I said, "it's done. He's gone." He blocked me too," Janet sobbed. "He sent me a message calling me a stupid old woman. He said he never loved me." "I'm sorry, Janet." "What do I do now? I lost $20,000.
"That was my savings for a new car." "We get it back," I said, "or at least we try." "Janet, did you send the money via Western Union or Bankwire?" "Bankwire, from PNC to a bank in New York." "New York?" I perked up. "I thought you sent it to him." "No, he told me to wire it to his travel agent in New York,
a company called Global Flights, LLC. Global Flights, LLC. If the money went to a U.S. bank account, it was traceable, it was recoverable, and it meant there was another mule in New York, a corporate mule. Janet, I said, send me the account number for Global Flights. I'm going to make a call to the New York Attorney General's office. I used to golf with the assistant AG. I looked at the invoice Janet sent me for Global Flights, LLC. The address was in Queens, NY. I Googled it. It was a bodega, a small grocery store. But the corporate filing showed the owner was a man named Victor S., and Victor S. had a public Instagram. I scrolled through his feed. Pictures of him stacking cash. Pictures of him with Prince K., my scammer. They knew each other. This wasn't just a mule. This was a partner. And Victor was on U.S. soil. I picked up my phone. I wasn't calling the AG. I was calling the Office of the Inspector General, OIG, for the Department of Health and Human Services. Because looking at Victor's business filings, he was also billing Medicare for medical transport. He was ripping off the government, too. I sat at my desk, surrounded by printouts of Victor S.'s corporate filings. The coffee in my mug had gone cold hours ago. To most people, Victor looked like a travel agent. But to me, looking at his NPI, National Provider Identifier history, he looked like a parasite. Global Flights LLC was a shell, but attached to Victor's Social Security number, which I found in a public bankruptcy filing from 2019, was another company, VS Medical Transport. I logged into the public CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, database. VS Medical Transport had billed Medicare for $2.4 million in non-emergency ambulance rides in the last 12 months. But looking at his Instagram, Victor didn't own any ambulances. He owned a bodega in Queens and a Honda Civic. He's double dipping, I whispered. Victor was using the romance scam money from victims like Janet as seed capital to pay kickbacks to doctors for fake ambulance referrals, then billing Medicare for rides that never happened. The romance scam was just the petty cash drawer for a massive healthcare fraud operation. This was my turf. I knew how to destroy a billing fraudster. I compiled a dossier. Exhibit A, the chat logs connecting Prince K, Nigeria, to Victor, NY. Exhibit B, the wire transfer from Janet to Global Flights. Exhibit C, the Medicare billing anomaly report I generated using public data. I didn't call 911. I called the HHS OIG, Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General hotline. I asked for the special agent in charge of the New York region. I used the magic words. I have evidence of a multi-million-dollar phantom billing scheme connected to international wire fraud. They put me through immediately. 2 days later, Special Agent Miller, no relation to the other Millers, it's a common name in federal law enforcement, called me back. Ms. Last Name, he said, your file is comprehensive. We've been looking at Victor for months, but we couldn't link the cash deposits to the Medicare fraud. You just gave us the link. The romance victims, I said. He's commingling funds. He deposits Janet's $20,000 as business revenue to make his ambulance company look legitimate to the bank. Exactly, Miller said. It's money laundering 101, but we need to catch him in the act. We need him to accept a romance wire while we are watching. I can help with that, I said. How? Luca, Prince K, blocked me, I said, but he thinks Janet is still on the hook. Janet told me he messaged her again yesterday, apologizing, saying he was stressed. He wants her to send another $10,000. He's going back to the well, Miller muttered. Yes, I can coach Janet. We can tell him she's ready to wire the $10,000 to Victor in New York, but this time the wire will be marked by the FBI. You want to use Janet as bait? She wants to do it, I said. She wants her dignity back, and she wants her $20,000 back. Miller paused. If she agrees, we can set up a controlled delivery. We'll have agents at the bank in Queens when Victor goes to withdraw the cash. I called Janet. Janet, I said, do you want to catch the man who stole your retirement? More than anything, she said. Then dry your eyes. We have one last role to play. This is the power of expertise. Karen didn't just see a scammer. She saw a bad balance sheet. She used her professional skills to uncover a crime the police missed. Never underestimate what you bring to the table.
If you're rooting for Janet and Karen, hit the like button. The operation was set for Friday morning. Janet messaged Dr. Richard, Prince K. I borrowed money from my sister. I can send $10,000 to Victor in New York. Is the account safe? Yes, yes, my love, Prince K replied. Victor is waiting. Send it now. Janet initiated the wire. The FBI monitored it. The money hit Victor's Chase account at 10 a.m. At 11:30 a.m., Victor walked into the branch on Atlantic Avenue. I wasn't there, but Agent Miller narrated it to me later. Victor walked up to the teller. I need to withdraw $9,500, cash. The teller, signaled by the feds, counted it out slowly. Victor took the envelope. He walked toward the door. As he stepped onto the sidewalk, a black SUV pulled up. Federal agents, drop the bag! Victor didn't run. He froze. He looked at the agents, then at the bag of cash. He knew it was over. They cuffed him. They seized his phone.
And on his phone, open in WhatsApp, was a chat with Prince K. Victor, money received. I'll send your cut via Bitcoin in an hour. The link was undeniable. The chain was broken. Agent Miller called me at 2 p.m. We got him, Karen, and because of the Medicare fraud charges, he's looking at 15 years minimum. He's already talking. He gave us the identity of Prince K in Nigeria. We're sending the package to the EFCC. What about Janet? I asked. The $10,000 bait money was ours, Miller said, but we seized Victor's assets, a luxury condo in Miami, 2 cars, and $400,000 in a business account. Janet will get restitution. It might take a year, but she'll get her $20,000 back. I called Janet. She cried, but this time it wasn't from grief. We got him? She asked. We got them all, I said. I hung up. I looked at the X-ray of the dying boy one last time. The boy who was actually a cyclist in London named Tom. I printed the photo. I wrote on it, case closed.
And I pinned it to my corkboard. I thought the file was closed. Victor was in jail. Prince K was being hunted. But then I received a letter from the Medical Board of Ohio. It was addressed to Dr. Luka Kovac. Wait, why would the medical board send a letter to a fake doctor at my address? I opened it. It was a license renewal notice. Someone had actually registered a medical license in Ohio using the fake name Luka Kovac and my home address. They weren't just scamming women, they were trying to infiltrate the U.S. medical system to prescribe opioids. This wasn't just fraud, it was drug trafficking. And they made the mistake of using the address of the woman who used to audit the DEA. I've held the letter from the State Medical Board of Ohio. It was heavy cardstock. License renewal notice, Dr. Luka Kovac. License type, limited resident fellow. Practice address, Pain Relief Solutions, Columbus, Ohio. My hand shook. Not from fear, but from shock. Prince K, the Nigerian scammer, wasn't just using the Dr. Luka persona to woo women. He, or his partners, had actually registered this fake identity with the state medical board. Why? To write prescriptions. If you have a medical license number and a DEA registration, you can e-prescribe opioids. You don't need to see the patient. You just need the credentials. They were building a ghost doctor to flood the streets with OxyContin, and they used my home address as the residential placeholder to make it look like Dr. Luka lived in a nice American neighborhood. I went to my computer. I logged into the NPI, National Provider Identifier, registry. It's a public database. I searched Luka Kovac.
There he was. NPI, number, enumeration date, 2 months ago, taxonomy, pain medicine, sole proprietor, no, organization subpart, Pain Relief Solutions, LLC. I clicked on the organization, owner, supervising physician, Dr. Gregory Aris. I knew that name. Dr. Aris was a legitimate doctor.
I had audited a clinic he worked at 10 years ago. He was sloppy then. Now, it seemed, he was criminal. He was renting his supervisory status to fake doctors. He was signing off on the applications for a fee, allowing the syndicate to generate NPI numbers for non-existent people. I picked up the phone. I wasn't calling Dr. Aris. I was calling the DEA Diversion Control Division. "This is Agent Lewis," a voice answered. "Agent Lewis, my name is Karen. I am a retired hospital administrator. I have evidence of a synthetic identity being used to obtain a DEA registration under the supervision of Dr. Gregory Aris in Columbus." "Synthetic identity?" Lewis asked, his tone sharpening. "Yes. Dr. Luka Kovac does not exist. He is a persona created by a Nigerian romance scammer, but Dr. Aris signed his supervisory affidavit. I'm looking at the license renewal right now. It was mailed to my house by mistake." "Mailed to you?" The scammer used my address to legitimize the application.
They made a clerical error. They forgot to change the mailing address to the clinic. "If this is true," Lewis said, "Aris is running a ghost network. We've been seeing a spike in e-scripts from phantom providers in Ohio. We couldn't figure out how they were getting credentialed." "They are using romance victims' data to build the profiles," I explained. "They use our addresses, our credibility, to pass the background checks, and Dr. Aris is rubber stamping them. Can you send me the letter? I'm scanning it now. And Agent Lewis, check Dr. Aris's billing for the last 90 days. I bet you'll find a massive spike in high-dose opioids prescribed by residents who never show up to work. You know your stuff, Karen." "I used to fire doctors like Aris for lunch," I said. 2 days later, the news broke in Columbus. Local pain clinic raided by DEA. Dr. Gregory Aris arrested for prescription fraud and conspiracy. I watched the footage on my laptop.
Agents were carrying out boxes of files. Dr. Aris was led out in handcuffs, looking pale and defeated. They didn't just shut down Dr. Luka. They shut down a network of 20 fake doctors. Thousands of pills that would have hit the streets wouldn't. This is how deep the rabbit hole goes. Romance scams fund drug trafficking. It's all connected. The money you send doesn't just buy a scammer a car. It buys the infrastructure to hurt communities. Karen stopped a supply chain of poison just by reading her mail. If you respect her vigilance, hit the like button. I sat on my porch in Boston. The air was crisp. The Dr. Luka persona was dead. His bank accounts were frozen. His mule, Victor, was in jail. His medical license was revoked. His enabler, Dr. Aris, was indicted. I had systematically dismantled every aspect of his life. I felt a sense of quiet power. I wasn't the lonely widow they thought they targeted. I was the immune system of society. I had detected the virus and killed it. Janet called me that evening. "Karen, I got a check," she said, sounding breathless. "From the Department of Justice. It's $5,000. It's a partial restitution from Victor's seized assets." "That's a start, Janet," I said. "It's enough," she said. "I can fix my car. But Karen, I deleted my dating apps. I'm done." "Don't be done, Janet," I said. "Just be smarter. Join a book club. Meet men who have pulses, not pixels." "Maybe," she laughed. "What about you? Are you done?" I looked at my computer screen. The case file for Luka was closed. "I think I'm just getting started," I said. "I heard the hospital board is looking for a volunteer auditor for their charity fund, someone to vet international donations." "You're going back to work?" "I'm going back to the fight." I was ready to close the chapter, but as I was shredding the last of the fake documents, I found one printed email I had missed.
It was from the very beginning.
A message from Luca, sending me a poem. At the time, I thought it was sweet. Now I read it again. The moon sees the sun and hides. The wolf sees the lamb and bides. It wasn't a love poem. It was a warning. He had told me who he was from day one. I just hadn't listened. I put the paper in the shredder. Whirr! The wolf was gone. And the lamb? The lamb had grown fangs. I walked through the sliding glass doors of Boston General Trauma Center. The smell hit me first, that mix of floor wax, rubbing alcohol, and nervous sweat. To most people, it smells like fear. To me, it smells like work. I wasn't there as an employee. I was there as a volunteer patient advocate. I walked past the nurses' station. They waved. They remembered me. The hatchet, they used to call me, because I cut budgets. Now they smiled. I entered room 402. A young boy, maybe 12 years old, was lying in the bed. His leg was elevated. And there it was, an external fixator. The metal halo, the pins going through the skin and into the bone. It looked medieval. It looked painful. It looked exactly like the photo Luca had sent me of Amir. But this wasn't a JPEG. This was a real child. His name was Leo. He had been hit by a car while riding his bike. His mother was sitting in the chair next to him, weeping. She was holding a stack of papers. "Mrs. Davis?" I asked gently. She looked up. "Are you the billing lady?" "No," I said. "I'm the advocate. What's wrong?" "The insurance," she choked out. "They denied the surgery. They said the fixator was experimental for this type of fracture. The bill is $45,000. We're going to lose the house." I felt a fire ignite in my chest. This was the reality. Real medical tragedies aren't solved by wiring cash to a diplomat in an airport. They are solved by fighting bureaucracy. I took the denial letter from her hand. I adjusted my glasses. I scanned the codes. "They rejected it under code 44, I muttered. "Lack of medical necessity." I looked at the x-ray on the wall. "That's nonsense," I said. "This is a grade 3 open fracture. The fixator is the only standard of care. The insurance auditor just auto-rejected it because they didn't see the soft tissue report." "Can we fix it?" Mrs. Davis asked, hope flickering in her eyes. "Mrs. Davis," I said, pulling a pen from my purse, "I spent 25 years writing the policies they are trying to use against you. I know the CEO of this insurance company. I know his email, and I know exactly which regulation to cite to make him sweat." I sat down. I opened my laptop. "We aren't just going to fix it," I said. "We're going to get it covered 100%. I typed. I drafted the appeal. I attached the clinical guidelines. I used words like bad faith and regulatory complaint. I wasn't Karen the lonely widow. I was Karen the administrator, and I was in my element. 2 days later, the approval came through. Full coverage. Davis hugged me in the lobby. She cried on my shoulder. "You saved us," she whispered. I thought about Luca. I thought about the fake Amir. The scammer had tried to sell me a fake feeling of being a hero. But this was real. I hadn't spent a dime. I had just spent my time and my knowledge. That is the difference between a fantasy and reality. The scammer wanted Karen to feel helpless without him, but in the real world, Karen was powerful. She took the pain the scammer mocked and turned it into a victory for a real family. If you believe that real heroism is doing the hard work, hit the like button. 6 months later, I sat in my garden. The hydrangeas were blooming. My phone buzzed. It wasn't a dating app notification. I had deleted those months ago. It was an email from Agent Miller at the HHS OIG. Subject, sentencing update. Karen, just wanted to let you know, Dr. Aris, the corrupt doctor, pled guilty today. 10 years. And Victor, the mule, turned state's evidence against the Nigerian ring.
We have extradited 2 of the ringleaders. Prince K is in custody. I smiled. I took a sip of my iced tea. Justice is a slow process. It's not as fast as a wire transfer, but it lasts longer. I looked at the empty chair next to me. For a long time, I thought I needed a man to fill it, a surgeon or a hero. But I realized I didn't need a hero. I needed a purpose. I had friends now, real ones. Janet from Ohio came to visit last week. We drank wine and laughed about how stupid we were, and then we toasted to how smart we became. I had work. The hospital board had asked me to run the new fraud prevention task force. I wasn't looking for a connection anymore. I was connected. I was connected to the truth. I picked up my iPad. I opened the news. Another story about a romance scammer caught. I scrolled to the comment section. There was a comment from a user named Audit Queen Boston. That was me. Comment. Check the NPI number. Check the CPT codes. And never, ever pay for surgery with a gift card. I hit post. The shift never ends, and I'm always on duty. They can fake the photo. They can fake the invoice. They can even fake the voice. But they can never fake the work. Trust the work. Real life is full of broken bones and denied claims, but Karen proved that you don't need a knight in shining armor to save the day. Sometimes you just need a woman with a red pen and a knowledge of the rules. Because you watched until here, I know you value competence over charisma, so you need to do 3 things. First, leave a powerful like. The YouTube algorithm needs to know that we want to see smart women winning. Help this message reach the people who need it most. Second, subscribe and hit the bell. You guarantee a new story every week right in your feed. Here we bring the raw truth about relationships and money. Third, go down to the comments and tell us, have you ever caught someone in a lie because you knew your job better than they did? Share your audit moments below. Remember, 87% of people watch and forget to subscribe. Don't be that person. Knowledge is your best defense. Click subscribe now. Stay healthy and check your invoices.